Howdy everyone, welcome back to Ride or Die. Today we're going to be taking a look at the 40-liter Blast travel backpack from Bagsmart. The people at Bagsmart were kind enough to send this over, along with the 10% discount code, which I'll have in the description down below. They sent this for review, however, the opinions, of course, are my own. So we've got a lot to talk about, so we'll just kind of dive into this one. To start off with, this is meant to be like a travel, possible like one bag travel sort of solution. It's meant for like anywhere between like 2 and 6 days. It has a couple different colors. I'll have those up on the screen along with the dimensions. But overall, in terms of size, it's pretty similar to a carry-on suitcase. So just kind of show you that. Let's see if this works. Put a carry-on. I should have taken the stuff out of it. That's a carry-on suitcase. And this is the travel backpack. So you can see not too far off. Again, the Blast is a 40-liter bag. It is somewhat comparable to the Vega, now Paz, that we reviewed a few months back. I took that one on a 2-week road trip. I usually take about 2-week road trips with a lot of these bags, so I end up really kind of living out of these things, and I think we're going to try to do that with this. So we're going to do a bunch of different things. We're going to talk about the pockets that exist on this thing, basically what's available with it, and then we're going to try to pack it out. We're going to fill it up with stuff, and we're going to kind of see how it works. So just to start off with, we've got a ripstop fabric. Ripstop is exactly what it sounds like. It is a fabric that is designed to prevent tears and rips if something like that should happen. We're gonna actually start with the back, as it were. Some really cool innovations here. Now, just to be clear, this does not have the duffel-like feature that the Paz did that we reviewed a few weeks back. This is more specifically like a travel backpack. And so knowing that it's 40 liters, Bagsmart were smart enough to include a lot of really cool features that are going to hopefully help you really kind of like deal with the load of carrying this thing. So let's say you've got this thing all fitted out. You've got your mesh back panel here. You've got this, what I just found out is called a trolley sleeve, which is this little thing here that you can slide across your luggage. Really helpful if you need to try to get it through the airport. You've got breathable mesh straps there. You've got a sternum strap. And if you haven't figured out like the magic of sternum straps, it's time to do so. Sternum straps are amazing. They help to really reduce the amount of strain, the amount of load that's being put on you, particularly with things like this where your only real option is to carry it, to have it on your back. Along those lines, and this is something I don't think I've ever seen in any kind of like a travel solution, is a waist strap. And that waist strap really goes along with these load lifters, which are up here at the top, which are just little straps that you pull to try to tighten things up. And what we have here is more like the types of features that you would find on a hiking backpack. And that is really, really cool because in essence, if you're traveling with this thing and you've got it on your back all the time, these things are going to help to make your journey just a little bit more pleasant. Obviously, if you have it on your back and it's killing you after a while, you know, you can't do a whole lot about it with a normal backpack. But with these types of features, you can hopefully try to, you know, alleviate some of those issues. And I would recommend, if you do end up picking up something like this, looking at advice related to packing hiking backpacks and properly adjusting hiking backpacks, because load lifters and these waist straps, they all work best when they're properly set up. So I would absolutely recommend that you do a little bit of research on that, and that's going to make your life a lot better. The waist strap does hide away, by the way. If you don't want to have it on there, you can go ahead and kind of tuck it into a little pocket here. Speaking of pockets, there is also a little hidden pocket here on the back, possibly meant for like a, you know, passport, some you know, your wallet, keys, something like that. But overall, the back, very impressive. And I have some travel coming up here in 3 or 4 weeks, and I'm looking forward to using this bag at that time and seeing how it does. In terms of straps, we've got 2 grab handles, very similar to what we saw on the Paz, along with another grab handle up here. At first, I thought these grab handles were like just a nice to have, and then I ended up grabbing the Paz by all of these grab handles anytime I needed to haul it out of the car, so that was really incredible. I really liked that. On one side here, this is a little bit hidden, but underneath one of these sort of Bagsmart signature blue-green colored straps is an RFID blocking pouch. And so that little pouch there, you know, would be for credit cards, things like that. So if you want to try to, you know, block out RFID scanners, you can do that. That's a really nice little feature. Overall, the theme of this bag is nice little features, nice little things like YKK zippers. There are YKK zippers throughout, which we didn't have with the other Bagsmart bags. So that stuff is all really nice. And overall, it's a really quality bag, I would say, for the price. There's a lot of like cool stuff to it. And I am really, really looking forward to using it pretty in depth. So again, 3 grab handles on different sides. The other side has a water bottle pocket. We're gonna slot some stuff into here and you'll see how that works. There are compression straps here. These compression straps help to cinch things down. You've got those on both sides, so you're able to cinch down the amount of stuff that's in your bag. At the top, so to speak, you have this little zipper open compartment that I would probably put sunglasses in. But you can put pretty much anything that you need to kind of grab and go in there. There is a little mesh upper pocket here as well if you need to, with 2 compartments. And that's very handy. That's something I think I would kind of like figure out as I use the bag a little bit more. And then on the bottom, we have our optional, and this is really, really cool. This is like part of these like cool little hidden features that I think are really neat about this bag. This optional like shoe gusset. So right now you might notice that this is not extending into the bag, and that's because I had to kind of like let it in. So I don't usually use these shoe gussets because my shoes are too big. They take up the entirety of my luggage open compartment. So having the ability to turn that off, in essence, is a really nice feature. So those are our main kind of pouches around the edges. We already talked a little bit about the back. On the outside, the portion that faces out, we've got a big mesh pocket here. One thing about this is that obviously like whatever you put in here will be somewhat visible. So just kind of something to keep in mind is that people will see whatever's in there, but also you'll be able to see it, which could be good or bad. And then we've got a big kind of open grab and go kind of pocket. So it extends pretty far down here. Up at the top, you have a mesh pocket, you have a little pen pocket, and then you have another miscellaneous pocket. You have what is probably the coolest key leash I've ever seen, because this one actually detaches and you can attach this onto your keys, and when you're ready to put them back, you just clip it in there. I'm absolutely going to use that. I think that is awesome. You might notice that this kind of pops out a little bit, so there's a lot of extended storage in here. You can fit quite a bit into this top or outer pouch, I should say. And so it's really, really cool. And then on the back, we have what you would expect to find in most backpacks these days, which is a laptop sleeve. So if I open this up, we have our more traditional laptop sleeve. So up to a 15.5-inch laptop here at the top. Down below, this would probably be a little bit better for a tablet. You have a zippered mesh pouch here at the top. Again, to put kind of whatever you need in there, mice, things like that. There is a really nice feature about this laptop sleeve that I tried to video, and I hope that it comes across, but I'm going to try to insert it here, where they put like bubble wrapping kind of like things on the edge of this to help protect your laptop. And then much like the North Face Borealis bag that we reviewed, the laptop sleeve doesn't extend all the way to the bottom of the suitcase, or the bottom of the bag, I should say. And the benefit to that is that if you plop this thing down, your laptop's not just going to hit right on the ground. There's a little bit of room between the bottom of the bag and the bottom of your laptop, and that is an incredible feature, particularly for someone like me who almost always has to travel with their laptop. All right, so we're going to go ahead and zip all of that up. I think we covered every pocket on the outside, and with that done, we're going to go ahead and get into the main compartment. As I said, we got a lot to talk about here and a lot to do today, so we're going to just keep clipping along. We've got a toiletries bag up here at the top. We've got a zippered kind of mesh pouch here again. One thing to note about this toiletries area is that this is not a rubberized zipper here at the top. So if something were to leak, it could just come right out of there, but you'll notice this is rubber, or like a rubberized plastic on both sides. So as long as whatever leaks in there stays in there, I'm sure it would be fine. But otherwise, you know, it could escape these zippers, so something to keep in mind. So at least they're YKK. Yeah, these are, yep, they're shown as, no, maybe these ones are not YKK. Okay, maybe we didn't use YKK all throughout. But in any case, decent enough zipper action. At the bottom, we have the main compartment area. One thing that's really nice about this is that it's just an open area with compression straps towards the bottom. You can kind of do what you want with an open space like this, and it's actually just a little bit more structured than the PAS that we had reviewed a few weeks back. One thing that I sort of didn't like about that PAS when I used it a little bit more was that it sort of flopped in on itself. So having that more like backpack, or so I should say suitcase-like structure, is very nice. And then inside here is the area where if you need that shoe compartment, you can let it in, so to speak. So you can unzip that and you can pull that out and have that going into your bag. In my case, like I said, I don't use this because my shoes are too big. I just pick one pair of shoes and I travel with those shoes. Okay, so those are all of our pockets. I'm incredibly happy with everything that we've talked about so far. The build quality on this is excellent. I love the YKK zippers. We don't have any of those rubberized zippers that everybody's throwing onto everything, but in my opinion, that's probably actually pretty good. That just means that we're not going to have, you know, the weird breakdown of rubberized components and stuff like we have on bags as they kind of age. You get that weird tacky, gross feel. I really just like this, and I think it's very straightforward, and it is well designed to just kind of do what it needs to do. One thing about this, one thing to kind of keep in mind, is that obviously it being a backpack, you're going to have this on your back most of the time. And so that means that this is great for places where pulling like luggage with wheels is not advantageous. Maybe you're going to go like someplace with cobblestone streets. That kind of stuff is like not great. Where you might want a more traditional, you know, luggage sort of situation is when you're planning to have a, you know, personal item backpack. So something to think of. For me, one thing that this causes like a little bit of a conundrum with is that normally my personal item is a backpack. So do I take two backpacks? What do I do? I'm not going to give up that personal item space. So just things to kind of think about when you're weighing this versus more traditional luggage. Keep in mind, you do have these hand straps, so you can just kind of grab it wherever you want to. And if you pick up something like this, you absolutely will. That being said, I wanted to figure out what would be the best way to just kind of demonstrate this thing. And I have a trip coming up in like 3-4 weeks, and I thought it might just make sense to try to pack this bag out, because I will be taking that bag with me, or I will be taking this bag with me on that trip, and we'll just pack it out like I'm going on that trip and see kind of how it does. So we're going to go through this in a few different ways. First of all, I have some packing cubes. So we're going to start off with our packing cubes. Inside this packing cube, this one is from a company called Tripped, I believe that's the company, or at least it's called Tripped. I got these through a recommendation of a YouTube video, also ripstop fabric. Okay, so what's in here is a pair of shorts, a pair of pajama pants, and 3 shirts. This is what I'll be using on my 5-day trip coming up. It's kind of in total 5 days, 3 nights. And this is actually really close to the amount of clothing that I would bring for my 2-week trips. I usually wear my clothes just a little bit longer than I would on those trips, and then I wash them as I need to and stuff like that. So again, the bulk of my clothing would be in here. So I'm going to go ahead and throw that in. I'm going to just kind of put that there. You can see how much space it's taking up. I know looking at that video, it kind of looks like it's taking up the entirety of the space. It's really not. We'll show that off in a second. In here, I've got 3 pairs of underwear, and I've got a pair of socks. So this is a slightly smaller packing cube, and we'll throw that maybe in next to it. And I'm going to go ahead, and since that's pretty much it for just clothing, I'm going to go ahead and like cinch that down with these cinch straps. And something to keep in mind is that these cinch straps are kind of at dual purposes here. It is also keeping your stuff from trying to fall out while you're wearing this thing on your back. And that's a really cool feature. I can make sure that my stuff is stacked. As I said before, you might want to look into how to pack a hiking backpack. That will give you all sorts of tips and advice, not just on how to make it better on your back, but on how to find things, make sure that your toiletries and stuff like that don't end up like spoiling the contents of your luggage, so on and so forth. So with that being said, I'm going to go ahead and put my toiletries, this cube here, I'm going to put this actually at the bottom, and that way if something were to leak out of this, it's not going to leak down and across my entire luggage. So you can see right now those things are just kind of all stacked on top of each other. And those are the main items. To be totally honest, if I could, I would just travel with those things and I would be done with it. But of course, there's going to be more than that. I always take a little bit more. I take this big pouch of electronic doodads. I have a Roku TV in here for hotels. I have chargers. I have like a little white noise machine. That I'm just going to kind of throw in here on the side. So we've got kind of things just stacked in there. This is a first for me, but I am a Nintendo Switch 2 owner now, and I have a Nintendo Switch 2 case. The Nintendo Switch 2 is larger. This is its new larger case. It takes up more room. So I wanted to show you what this would look like. So if I put that in there, it just kind of fits right into that space. And then I'm going to take the Nintendo Switch Pro controller. I almost always travel with this Pro controller when I take the Switch because I prefer to use it over the Joy-Cons. So with that, I guess I'll kind of tuck it over here on the side. And I think that is the stuff for the main compartment. So that more or less is what I would take on this upcoming 5-day trip. And that is pretty close to what I would take for a 2-week trip. I, of course, as I said, always take my laptop. I always have to do work while I'm on the road. So that being said, I'm going to go ahead and slot my laptop into the top here. I'm not going to slot my iPad in there just because the iPad is doing stuff right now. It's helping me to see myself while I record. That's a very lengthy strap, by the way, so that's very nice if you have a a really large laptop, bigger than my MacBook Pro in this case. So that's slotted in there, and Let's see, oh, I'm getting hung up on some of these straps. Cool. I'm gonna go ahead and connect these compression straps to help kind of hold the load together. And cool, that looks good. And then we'll do the compression straps on this side and the compression straps on that side. So those compression straps are gonna help to make things a little bit better for your back. They're gonna help to keep the load from moving around. So cool things all around. Then we just have some small items. First of all, we've got a water bottle. Typically when I travel, I don't take a full water bottle. I take an empty water bottle, or I buy a Smart Water in the airport and I refill it throughout my trip. So one of the reasons I do that is this is kind of a hiker's trick, but also it cuts down on the weight. And you know, you can see this one's pretty beat up. It's been used a couple times now. And it's a great way to just have a refillable water bottle that doesn't take up a lot of room. And if you have to get rid of it, you can get rid of it. So that being said, I'm gonna go ahead and throw that into the outer pocket here, the outer water bottle pocket. Something to note about this outer water bottle pocket is that you cannot cinch this up. It will stay as loose as it is no matter, you know, what you put in here. So this specific water bottle is not a great fit for this. If you have a bigger water bottle, it will probably end up working a little bit better. You could try to put the cinch straps around the top of the water bottle, and that would hopefully, you know, help to hold it in. But just something to note, a smaller water bottle stands a chance of kind of sliding out of there. So something to just keep in mind. Okay, so I've got my water bottle. That's a big one. Here at the top in this open compartment, this kind of pop-up compartment that we saw, I'm gonna go ahead and put my glasses in there. That's something that I always wanna have available to me as I'm going through the airport. And I think that compartment will be really good as a like dump for your pockets when you're going through TSA. That's really cool. The next things are all kind of small. We've got a pair of earplugs. I always want to make sure that I have earplugs with me in case I'm in a noisy environment and I really want to sleep. So I'm just going to kind of tuck those in the pocket out here. Got some tiny little dice. I just bought these on the last trip. They never came out of my luggage, so they're staying in there. I brought a little game of Uno with me. I picked these up a few months back. It's really nice if you're just trying to like fill some time with somebody to just break out a little game of Uno. That's wonderful. And then I've got a set of compressed towels. So these, you just add water to them if you need to like freshen up or something like that. These are wonderful for travel and I absolutely recommend them. So I'm gonna go ahead and tuck those in this pocket as well. And then really my last thing is this emergency caffeine pack that I take with me everywhere. There is coffee in here, there are emergencies, there are water additives, there is powdered creamer. I'm one of those people that needs my caffeine, and you never know what the situation's gonna be like when you get to a hotel or how dire it's going to be. So I always bring this with me in case I need it. So I'm just gonna kind of shove that down in there. If something happens to it, it's not that big of a deal. All right, so there we go. It's now packed out. I really don't think there's much more here that I would have put into this thing. I'm sure I could like come across some other little knickknacks. It's pretty full, it's pretty packed out. I did pack this out before this video and I wore it and it reminded me a lot of a hiking backpack. Obviously you'd have to do some stuff to make sure that it's properly balanced. One thing to keep in mind, it is not a hiking backpack, although it has those hiking backpack features. So you don't have the brain thing that hiking backpacks have where you can shift weight kind of up onto the upper part of your back and neck. You can't really do that here. The load lifters are just kind of working with this big rectangle that you've got. So something to keep in mind. But yeah, overall, that has been the Blast 40 liter from Bagsmart. I want to thank Bagsmart once again for sending this over. As I said, my comments are my own, but I'm really happy with this, and I'm really looking forward to getting to use it a little bit on the road. You know, again, something like this, you just have to kind of keep in mind, oh, I forgot one other thing, which is my sleep mask. And the sleep mask will obviously fit in this outer pocket. I always bring a sleep mask. If you're trying to get a good night's sleep, that's the best way to do it. But again, I want to thank the people at Bagsmart for sending this over. Again, we have a 10% discount code in the comments down below. Otherwise, I think that's going to do it for me today. You can look for this on the Bagsmart website if you're interested, and if you're trying to like figure things out. But yeah, have a wonderful day.